Hello and welcome back to Hudson Auto Films. Today is a day that doesn't come very often for me and this channel. We've sold a car. Some of you will already know that this car was listed for sale as I did post it on the channel, but the sale has indeed gone through. I made this decision for three reasons. First of all, personal preferences. Second of all, trying to be logical financially. And thirdly, space. And if you haven't already guessed, we're not selling the Bullet. We're definitely not selling the absolutely incredibly rusty DBS. We're selling arguably the best one. So I need to box everything up related to that car and just get everything ready for the buyer to collect. And whilst I'm doing that, I'll explain a little bit about my reasonings, as I appreciate it might sound a bit bizarre to sell the most complete car that we've got. Space. As you can tell, space right now is something which is a problem. Though I absolutely love this workshop, it is really only good for two cars and space to work on them, especially when they're deep restoration projects. A car in each bay and then a bunch of bits going on in the middle. And for those of you who haven't seen these cars in person, they're bloody massive. And with two of my project cars no longer being able to roll on their own wheels, the need for space is even more, because parts have come off them, significantly large parts. When cars are off their wheels, it's the most awkward time and space is just needed more than ever. Not to mention, there is another Aston outside, there is a Lancia, a Reliant Robin, a Lotus, another Aston, a Land Rover, all just hanging about. So space is something that is needed more than ever. As you can see, the difference of just having two cars in here is night and day. You have space around everything, you can access everything that is going on, you even have space in the middle to make things. So yeah, much better. Now, the second element is financial. So I got the silver car for a remarkably good price. Though it might be hard to believe because I have several Aston Martins, I'm not actually some millionaire stud, though I'd like to be one day. But rather, I spend a huge amount of time sleuthing online and tracking down leads to find cars which are arguably incredibly good value. To put it into perspective, the value I have spent on my collection, if you can call it that, which includes the silver Aston, the red Aston, the Bullet, the Lotus, the Land Rover, the wrecked Aston. In total, that's probably about £30,000, which, don't get me wrong, is a huge amount of money, but that silver car makes up 50% of that investment. With that also said, I got it for a phenomenally good price for what it is. I started crunching the numbers and working out what the car was worth in its current state. As I said, I got it for a really good price, so it was always worth more than what I paid for it. I'd also taken on a degree of risk because the car was covered in filler. There was no telling what was underneath the filler. I removed everything and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Nowhere near, in fact. So that was another plus. So the car was now in its raw state. It was clear. It was a very straight car on the whole. As mentioned, it was already worth more than what I paid for it. And by stripping all the paint, I believe its value had increased significantly again by removing that risk element. So I established roughly what the car was worth in its current state. And then I established how much it would cost me to finish it and what its value would be when it's finished. There was always going to be a ceiling for that car's value. It had a Chrysler Mopar engine in it, and that immediately limits its value. So I thought, okay, when it's done, it'll be worth this amount. I established the amount of money it would take me to finish it. The profit margin would remain the same. So it was in this sweet spot where, yes, I could pour in another kind of 10, 15,000 into it, but actually the take-home profit would be the same. And when you've established you are going to sell a car, you think about it like more of a business deal. It's no longer selling your dream car. Not to mention the work involved in getting it that final steps was incredibly labour intensive for me. Yes, there was part of me that thought, well, that would make good content for the channel, but I realised it'd be better to sell that, have that cash injection, which would be enough to not only finish this red car, but really crack on with the Bullet and have the freedom to work on them continuously. So by selling the silver car, it allows me to finish my other cars much quicker, rather than trying to finish the silver car and the rest of the cars, you know, in this convoluted way, and then be selling the silver car anyway. So that's what made sense financially. Well, there she is for the final time on this channel. As you can see, still completely stripped out. A lot of the metalwork is almost there, but that is for someone else to have their fun with. The real significant remaining bits are the front. It needs a new half clip. But other than that, the car is incredibly straight. And the last reason is really personal preference. But I jumped on the car because it was a good price, not because it was the right one. And I don't regret that at all, because by owning it, it's taught me a lot about Astons. It was the first classic Aston I'd ever owned, and then lots more came. So it's actually been around for quite a while. But it taught me a lot about them, and the price I bought it for, there was just no room to go wrong. And by selling it, it's going to benefit me in such a way that I can finish these other cars. So I don't regret it, but it was never the right car. I always wanted an early car. I always loved the front end of the early cars, which it's so dramatically different on these. It's so much more boxy, which a lot of people love. But for me, it's always been the early car. I think if I was to, I would never by choice buy a DBS V8. I'd either get an AM V8, the later one, the successor, or an early DBS, just what it was in its purest form. They are rarer. They are fantastic cars. But it's not the one I dreamed of. So that's my reasoning. I'm not actually very sad, because it's nice to know it's going to go to someone who hopefully will fix it up and get it back on the road. It has the potential to be on the road by summertime. It's not, it's final things, it's paint, it's refitting. It's close. And because it's not got its original engine, it's worth noting I actually sold it without any engine at all. I still have the Mopar engine in my garage at home, so that's fun. But because it's not a matching numbers car, it's not even got an original engine in it, it's, for me, that's the only bit about it which has made it perfect for me. I've always loved classic cars you can just use. I do get a bit obsessive with things which are matching numbers, and then the trouble is when I go down that route, I stop driving them. I make things so nice that I don't want to touch them. Whereas that, even if you could find the original engine, we looked very hard for it, I don't think it exists anymore. So it'll never have its original heart, which I think is actually a golden ticket, because it's never going to be, it's always going to be a collector's car and a beautiful car and lovely, but it's never going to be so perfect that it needs to sit in a museum. Not that many are. So that is just the perfect classic Aston for someone to get in, enjoy every day, rain, shine, snow, do it. And that's in a way what I want to do with the red car. Again, it's never going to be a collector's example. It's not got its original engine. I do know where the original engine is for the red car. It's in a DB5. I know exactly which car, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I like cars you can use. Cars which, they're what you want, but they're not so perfect that you just look at them because you want to enjoy them. So I hope the chap who's getting that enjoys it. I'm in that wobbly moment where I hope everything goes well with the sale. I've already got the money. I've had the money for a long time, actually. So, yeah, just hope he likes it and hope it goes off without a hitch. That's the only thing about selling classic cars. Often people don't quite understand that they are work, and I think there's also a big jump from entry-level classic cars to these. So I always get a bit nervous when I sell cars like this, because the image people have in their head is usually vastly different to what actually owning one is like. And so yeah, but anyway, fingers crossed. I'm going to finish packing this up, and I'll check in with you then. I've had to bring everything back inside because he's a bit delayed, but got boxes full of bits, we've got interior, we've got trim, we've got everything. It is all here and it is all ready to go. Bye. Mission complete. So thankfully it all went off without a hitch. He was happy. The car is gone. I've got some space and I've got a clear plan forward, which is good. So without any more nonsense, it's time I get cracking on these cars. I apologise for not having more of a proper video this week. You'll see why in the next episode. What I'm doing to this car right now is proving a bit more time consuming. I've almost finished it now, but you'll see everything next week. It's always hard to convey when you're making YouTube videos how long everything actually takes. It all gets compressed down into a 15-20 minute video, but it's days worth of work. And when you hit bumps in the road, it gets tricky. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and I hope you're excited for what's to come. I know I am. Please like, share, subscribe. If you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon or buy some merch. All goes into these fun builds. But until next time, take care and I'll see you then.